Family Feud.
Weekdays at 5 on My TV 30.
Thank you and welcome to the show for today. This morning I have Omar K. Garner, a local chef, Metro Nashville Public Schools employee at East Nashville Magnet Middle School, formerly known as East Nashville Literature Magnet, and the head coach of the girls basketball team at East Nashville Magnet Middle School. And this morning we'll be speaking about youth service and enrichment in Nashville. And so thank you, Omar, for joining me this morning, and thank you for coming to share your perspective. To open our episode, I kind of want to get into your background in education, so I just want to talk about your early experiences. Where did you go to school growing up?
So I went to a lot of different schools. I started elementary at Kings Lane Middle, now known as Robert E. Lillard. I attended Brick Church Middle School, Haynes Middle School, and Graymar Middle School. And in high school, I started off at East, so I came back home and taught there. Went to Whites Creek for a couple months, and I graduated from Beach High School.
Beach. Now, what county is Beach in?
Beach is in Sumner County.
Sumner.
Yeah.
And so I guess an immediate question that popped in my head is, what is the biggest difference that you saw between Metro Nashville, like Davidson County schools, and Sumner County?
The curriculum, the implementation on education was different. It was heavy. The expectations were higher in Sumner County, and a lot more was expected of me.
And do you think that that kind of disciplined you and shaped you for higher education?
It definitely did. I feel like if I didn't attend Beach my senior year of high school, I would have had I would have been blindsided by college, because it was tougher than I thought.
And where'd you end up going to college?
I went to Fisk University.
Studying what? Spanish
education.
Spanish, what made you want to get into Spanish education?
So that's another inspiration from Beach High School. I had a Spanish teacher there. Her name was Senorita Greer, and she just kind of inspired me on what I wanted to do on the next level, because in my senior year of high school, going into college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And she just gave me just something to feel like I was, I belonged. And she, inspired me with Spanish. I enjoyed it, and I was good at it, so why not do it on the next level?
And see, I love the fact that you were able to cite that teacher that inspired you, because we're going to get into the fact that you went on to teach, and you're going into your 5th year in Metro Nashville Public Schools, and so I like that you were able to give back to the same system that gave to you.
Yes.
And so after Fisk, with a Spanish degree, did you start teaching Spanish?
So I student taught Spanish my second semester of college, and I taught Spanish at a school called Margaret Allen, very diverse school, and so I'm teaching Spanish-speaking people Spanish, and I enjoyed it because they knew how to talk slang, but I was able to give them that proper Spanish perspective, and I enjoyed it, but I knew then that I didn't want to teach it. I wanted to do more so in the math department, because I just felt a little more confident in that area.
Now, getting into math, I know you're currently teaching math. How did you make that transition from Spanish to math?
It was tough, but I was good in math in high school, so I just I studied for the standardized test to teach math, and I just started doing it. I told one of the principals that wanted me at Haynes Middle School that I just wanted to teach math. She was down with it, and she worked with me through whatever I had to go through to get there.
Now, it's Haynes where you started your teaching career?
Yes, that's where I started my teaching career.
And what grade level?
8th grade. I started in 8th grade, yes.
Math?
Math.
Man, so that's that, what is it, pre-algebra?
Yeah, you're going into that pre-algebra, Algebra 1 category. It's where it gets a little more tough for the kids, so it was fun, though.
And this is just like an offhand question that, again, just popped up. What are some of the supports that you use to kind of make children comfortable with those hard subjects? Because like a foreign language and math, really STEM, the arts are not easy at all.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy for a student to latch onto a teacher they've never had before or never seen. So what are some of the supports you use in the classroom to be able to kind of ease the children into, the content and make them feel comfortable?
So I started when I was 21. So the easiest thing for me to do with the children was to be relatable. And so when I started teaching 8th grade, I'm probably like 7 years older than the kids that I'm teaching. So it's like my little brother. you know, just kind of connecting with him, with music, with just, you know, real world conversations, things like that, and just kind of like opening up to them. And when you open up to the children, it just helps them open up to you, be comfortable to make mistakes, things of that nature.
And would you say that you've taken those same supports and those same mechanisms and applied them to sports?
I have.
And I guess to wrap up this first segment, I want to get a bit into your beginnings with sports. What is your sports background, if any?
So I played football when I was younger. But I really didn't do sports like that throughout school. I started coaching when I was 17 years old. My mom signed my little brother up for soccer. And if she was the coach, you know, she got to let him play for free. And she really didn't know much about soccer, so she inspired me to coach, and I jumped in. And from there, that's my coaching career. And
in our second segment, we're going to hop back into that sports background and how that's influenced you as a coach. And I encourage our viewers to tune into the second segment of Perspectives.
The National Desk. Impartial, fact-based journalism.
They're making too much money by keeping patients in the dark.
Immediate news now from the National Desk.
1,000 firefighters try to get this monster fire under control.
Context and perspective from America's News now.
I was diagnosed with kidney cancer.
Choose America's News now.
The National Desk, weekday mornings 6 to 8 on MyTV 30.
It's heartbreaking to imagine a baby without clean diapers, yet nearly 1 in 2 families in our community struggle to afford diapers. I'm Erica Glover. Fox 17 is partnering with the National Diaper Bank Network and our parent company, Sinclair, for Sinclair Care's Summer Diaper Drive. Scan this QR code to help local diaper banks provide diapers to children and families in need. Donate today for a healthier future for our little ones. And if your family is struggling with basic needs for your baby, go to sinclaircares.com.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's what white people think. You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you wanna talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
This season on Karamo. Have you ever lost trust in your partner?
You didn't get someone pregnant?
Who? We're getting a whole lot of truth.
Neither of you are horrible mothers. You are in a situation where you don't know how to break the cycle.
I have never looked at my child and said, I hate you.
Take care.
We're not gonna play these games and having a whole lot of fun. Big Frida! Join me weekdays right here.
Karamo, weekdays at 3 on MyTV 30.
Fox 17 News. We cover big stories.
Homelessness is a major problem in Nashville. What will you do as mayor?
Local story.
We want people to follow the rules, and the rules will be fair.
Breaking story.
Breaking news out of Donaldson tonight. A Metro police officer.
We ask tough questions, providing you with context and detail.
Will these investments be enough to give our students the resources they deserve?
Our coverage shows how these stories impact you, our cities, our community. Fox 17 News.
Alerts, empowers, protects. Welcome to the second segment of the show for today. If you are just joining me, I have Omar Garner, a local chef, father, and MMPS employee at East Nashville Magnet Middle School, also the head coach of the girls basketball team, discussing youth service and enrichment in Nashville. And so thank you again, Omar, for joining me this morning and sharing your perspective. And to kind of give a summary of that first segment, we talked about your different experiences in both the Davidson and Sumner County schools, kind of how the curriculum differed between those two, your higher education experiences at Fisk University. And we were just beginning to talk about your beginnings at Haynes Middle School, just beginning your teaching career. And I asked you about kind of your sports background because I know that you're head coach of the girls basketball team at East. And we were talking about those early experiences. You talked about your brother in soccer.
Right.
And so I kind of, what was that like? Was that the first sport that you played?
That was the first sport that I coached.
Yeah.
I did play soccer, but it was the first sport that I coached. He was probably around 6 or 7 years old, and it was fun. It was all about growth because we really weren't that well of a soccer team. I didn't know much about it. I'm dealing with younger children, but that's when I kind of like fell in love with it, because it wasn't about how many wins we got, how many losses we got, but where we started from to where we finished by the end of the season.
And how did you learn to take that approach? Because I know lots of coaches, they want the glory, they want, you know, the trophy. How did you learn to appreciate kind of the simplicity of things?
Just patience. It took a lot of patience to understand that it's not all about the wins, and just being consistent, because it's hard to come into an environment every day where the culture is losing at the moment and just sticking it out, but to see growth, seeing you know, the losses getting a little, you know, it's a well-deserved loss. You know, we fought for it. It was a hard fight, so that's where we're at with it.
And I like how you encourage the students to appreciate both the wins and the losses, because it does make the team either way. You know, those experiences are needed to grow, like you said. And so taking that experience, how did you get involved with East Nashville's basketball teams and just groups in general?
So when I first came on to East Nashville Middle School, there were no coaching positions open, but I went to the head coach of the basketball team, the girls and the boys, and I just told them that I wanted to help however I could help in any way, and I just became a part of the culture. I learned a lot from the head coach at East Middle, the boys head coach, and just kind of like was a sponge around him and soaked in a lot of things from him, and got my chance this year to be a head coach and implemented some of the things I learned from him along with my own style, and we were successful.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And now I'm just sitting here thinking about it. You were already teaching math at this point.
Yes.
And a father.
Yes.
And so I'm just thinking, I'm like, Lord have mercy. So you got into work, you had like your lesson plan ready for math, and then went, you know, your regular 8 to 3 with math, and then practice afterward, and then going home.
Right.
How do you juggle that to begin with?
It's tough. It's tough. I'm still trying to figure it out. You know, it's just, you know, I just give my best every day, and my best every day looks different. But I just try to give my best to each of those, you know, departments of my life. Being a teacher, being a coach, being a dad, and you know, I just make it all come together. It's tough though.
Man, you have my hats off, all my applause, because I'm like, goodness, I'm tired, just my regular 8 to 3.
Yeah.
And so when you were first beginning at East, what was the team like? What kind of state was the team in when you first kind of joined the coaching staff?
So the teams were different. The boys team was pretty solid. They were really disciplined. And the girls team, they needed a little discipline, but they were very, very talented. And so what I did was just kind of took what the boys team had and tried to implement it into the girls team. But they were both good. They both were successful that year. The boys won the Eastern Division Championship as an assistant, and the girls had went to the city tournament. Were not successful, but they made a good run. But they were both young. You know, we had a lot of 6th and 7th graders that year.
Man, and dealing with those younger groups, how do they fare with the older kids? You know, the 8th graders, the big kids. How are those relations?
To be honest, just having that open culture and just making them comfortable, they really ignore it if it's not positive. So they kind of take to a lot of positive things. So if the older kids are being positive, they'll take to them. If not, they're going to have a better relationship with the girls that have the positive attitude, and they just go from there.
Yeah, in the same way that you were a sponge, they are as well. They absorb all of that. And I guess instilling that positivity, middle schoolers. Anyone who's been around a middle schooler, has been in a middle school, you know, middle schoolers are ruthless.
Yes.
How do you instill, one, making them go to class, and then making them practice while still doing homework, and then how do you just instill that discipline in them?
You just have to, model it first. So, you know, it's a lot of things that I can say, or a lot of cliches that I can give out to them that a lot of teachers gave me when I was a kid, but it's all about how do you model it. And I just kind of like open up the bigger picture to them. It's not all about me teaching them math or Spanish or whatever I'm teaching. It's about how like you know, matriculate through life, because at the end of the day, that's where we're, you know, guiding them to. What are you going to do in the real world?
And now, I'm thinking about now that the year has concluded, the school year's just ended, I want you to think of kind of the beginning of the year or the beginning of the sports season and then the end of it. And what are some of the things you witnessed in the beginning that you were able to change or fix, or some of the things that you were able to, improve? So tell me about maybe some of the struggles you may have experienced, or even just some of the achievements that you saw and wanted to keep in place.
So when I first started as the head coach, we kind of ran through our division pretty well because it wasn't much competition. And December, it was an off period, you know, the school year, winter break, and I entered my girls into a tournament in Mount Juliet, and these were different counties. And so we went down there with the big head because we did what we did in our division and got smacked up a little bit. And I was able to learn a lot of things about fundamentals, about discipline, about how to actually coach a team and not just went off of talent. And so that's where we struggled because we thought we were, you know, really good, and we weren't as good as we thought, you know. So that just made me push a little harder as far as just really intense practices. Stop worrying about what we're doing against bad teams and how do we perform against really good teams. And so that pushed us over the ledge.
And kind of taking those same mechanisms of, you know, like improving on what we already have, you know, not focusing on what we're doing, you know, against these bad teams, but what we already are good at. How do you instill that in female athletes as a male coach?
I don't know.
I mean, because I know what you're saying with discipline and everything else, but just as a former female athlete, it's just so hard to relate, you know, to that older man. And these are middle school girls, so this is like the high point of life, man. And what did you experience as a male coach of these young girls?
I experienced a lot, and I'm still experiencing a lot, you know, at this point. But it all comes down to relationships. You know, what relationship do you have with these kids? And when, you know, in moments when they see me advocate for them, or, you know, they see that I'm pushing them towards a bigger goal than what they can see, you know, they take to it. And so once you show that you care and you actually build a relationship with them, if that's staying 30 minutes to an hour after practice, letting them shoot around, really focusing on them getting better, helping them with more than just basketball. Hey, I'm gonna help you with this little English homework that you have. Things like that. So it all comes down to relationships.
Relationships, and I'm hearing a lot of enrichment and service, going that extra mile. And in our third segment, we're gonna come back into how you not only go the extra mile at work, but in the community and the businesses you have. And I encourage our viewers to tune in to the final segment of Perspectives, where I'll be with Omar discussing youth enrichment and service in Nashville.
It's time to start your day
with Fox 17 News this morning. See breaking news as it unfolds.
Be prepared before you walk out the door with my Code Red forecast.
Get the most accurate drive time for your commute, even during commercials.
Fox 17 News this morning, all local, all morning.
And Middle Tennessee's only local news source from 7 to 9 a.m.
So start your day with us.
Watch Fox 17 News this morning, weekdays 4 to 9 a.m.
Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Before severe weather threatens, we notify you with our Code Red weather alerts, warning you up to 3 days in advance.
We use this icon to immediately alert you to severe weather.
So, when we call a Code Red weather alert,
know we're providing you with the information needed to prepare and stay safe.
Fox 17 News Code Red weather alerts.
Your first line of defense when severe weather threatens.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Fox 17 News. We cover big stories.
Homelessness is a major problem in Nashville. What will you do as mayor?
Local story.
We want people to follow the rules, and the rules will be fair.
Breaking story. Breaking news out of Donaldson tonight. A Metro police officer. We ask tough questions, providing you with context and detail.
Will these investments be enough to give our students the resources they deserve?
Our coverage shows how these stories impact you, our cities, our community. Fox 17 News. Alerts, empowers, protects.
Welcome to Harvey High. Today's subject, anatomy.
Name a part of Steve Harvey that a woman might want to kiss.
Your six-pack.
The six-pack? Does she know who Steve Harvey is? You got to dig for it, but it's in there.
Get school with Family Feud.
Weekdays at 5 on My TV 30.
Thank you, and welcome to the final segment of the show for today. If you're just tuning in, I have Omar Garner, a local chef, coach, father, and employee of Metro Nashville Public Schools through East Nashville Magnet Middle School, who is also the head coach of the girls basketball team. And so in these first few segments, Omar, just to kind of recap for people just getting in, we discuss your background everywhere from Graymart, Brick Church, Fisk University, East Nashville, the different counties that you've been in and, you know, taught in. And really we left off on that second segment talking about how you as a young male coach were able to foster relationships with middle school girls. And we talked about how vulnerable of a time that is for young women and just coming in as a young male figure. And honestly, you don't look like the stereotypical teacher, you know? When you think about, you know, teacher, you think about the guy with the suit and the glasses and the briefcase, and you're cool. And you know, you have a cool demeanor about you. And so I think it's really interesting that you were able to come in and assume that not disciplinarian, but that higher role that is able to influence and not just be seen as like the big brother or like the cool dude. And so we talked about the importance of fostering those relationships. And I kind of want to jump around in your life and talk about your business, Kenny G's Kitchen. Now that's originally how I had found you.
Yes.
And when you mentioned relationship building and the importance of that, I thought about it. I'm like, goodness, the way that you've blown up through cooking and through, you know, your ministry and food, that's relationship building.
Right.
It is at the foreground. So tell me, how did you get started cooking?
So it was during COVID. Whenever COVID happened, I was doing virtual teaching, and I had a lot of time to myself, and I wanted to do something different. And so I sat on my couch. I said I wanted to start cooking. I wrote down a menu on a notebook sheet of paper that I still have in my drawer at home. And I put it together and I made it come to life. And I was nervous at first to do it, but I used to listen to a lot of podcasts about the hardest thing is starting. So I just started one day. I put myself out there. I had family and friends support. And I just went from there and kind of just grew a lot throughout the process.
Do you remember the first meal you cooked?
The first meal that I cooked and I sold, it was tenders and wings. So that's what I was doing, some fried chicken.
Man, and how did you end up spreading the word about that? Was it just, did you call your family up, your friends?
Social media.
Yeah.
I use social media to my advantage. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I just posted it because, I mean, you have to be your biggest supporter first. So just posted it a lot, got my presentation right, made sure it tasted good, asked my friends how was it, and they said it was good enough to go, and so I gave it a go.
And now, how did you know that this was beginning to turn into something serious?
When I started selling out, when I started having people put in orders and I didn't have no more food to cook.
Wow.
And so that made me excited. It made me want to go even harder, made me want to push farther because I was like, okay, I can actually do this.
Now, are you delivering to people or they come to you, pick it up?
So at first, when I first started, I was, you know, hey, pick me for anything. I'll deliver here, I'll deliver that. But after I started growing a little more, you had to come to me because delivering took away from a lot of time. Yeah.
And how do you deal with just customers coming in? You don't know half these people.
Yeah.
They're like finding you off social media.
Right.
What kind of, you know, customer service skills do you employ to deal with all these strangers coming to you asking for food?
Yeah, I just try to give them the best experience because at the end of the day, I'm representing myself. So it's like, I want great reviews. You know, so I deal with them to the best of my ability. And, you know, I just give them the Kenny G's experience.
I love it, the Kenny G's experience. We gotta like bold that. And I guess just to kind of tie everything up that you're doing, what has inspired you to really give back to the community in the ways that you do? What kind of early experiences did you have, both as, you know, in your youth or as, you know, a grown man, that made you want to give back?
So I had two teachers. My first teacher, her name was Miss Muscatello. She was a second grade teacher. I met her when I was at Kings Lane. And she did the extra stuff that I said about, you know, building relationships. Like, you know, she would take me out to eat. She would take me to Chuck E. Cheese. She would do stuff, you know, out of the way of just school and just really built a relationship with me. And she kept that going on for years and years and years. Like, she was at the hospital when my son was born, when my daughter was born. She came to both of my proms, my high school graduation, my college graduation. And that just inspired me a lot because, you know, from second grade, and, you know, I just texted her yesterday, it was her birthday, till now, like, that's a real life relationship that just inspired me to keep going. And then my teacher in 12th grade, my Spanish teacher, she inspired me just by helping me figure out what did I want to do in life. And so that just inspired me to help other kids that don't know what's going on or where they want to navigate through life, and just try to be that inspiration to help them find their path in life.
And youth need that, not even from children from suburbia or from just, you know, the deepest projects or bricks or, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Everyone needs support.
Exactly.
And that kind of leads me into my next question. What are some of the trends that you see with students at East, your classroom students, your teams aside? What are they dealing with?
They're dealing with a lot. You know, they're dealing with some more stuff than adults actually deal with. Some of them dealing with death of their parents. Some of them dealing with no support from their parents. And just dealing with that maturation through, you know, teenagehood, which is, you know, they're maturing, they're going through puberty, they don't know what's going on, and they're dealing with more stuff than I dealt with when I was a child, because social media is just so prevalent in these days.
Oh, yeah.
So they can easily, you know, be drawn to, you know, possibly drug abuse, alcohol abuse, early sexual activity, things like that, that, you know, kind of ruins the childhood. And so that's one thing that I want to jump into, as far as like just being there, being supportive if their parents are not as supportive as they can be, because, you know, I feel like that's our job. You know, it's just more than about being an educator. It's about being a role model and an inspiration to just, you know, go throughout the adversity in life.
And I guess this is like a kind of a three-part question. The first part being, if you could leave any message with the students who come through your classroom, so that academic portion, what is the message you'd leave with them?
I would just leave with them to keep going, you know, fight through adversity. You know, I said this on a podcast last week, that if, you know, you're not getting, God put you here for a reason. So he's pulled you through everything that you've been through. And if he hasn't pulled you through, he's pulling you through at the moment. So as long as you just keep your head strong and just believe in yourself, you'll be able to push through everything that, you know, is put in front of you. And
the second part of that being, what would you what's the takeaway that you would leave with your athletes? I know they're still, you know, they still come to you academically, but their minds, they're juggling a little more. They're dealing with all the mental health and the, you know, the ups and downs of middle school, plus homework, plus sports. And what would you tell them?
I would tell them to balance everything appropriately. You know, because most middle school students, you know, you ask them what they want to be in life. Hey, I want to go to the NBA, NFL, things of that nature. I just give them the perspective of what real life actually is, and it is to put whatever you love first, but also keep in touch with the reality of this world. So, you know, just keep a balance of everything in the right way.
Now, what's the message that you tell Kenny every morning as he sets out to save the day? What do you tell yourself to be able to make it through the day?
I tell myself, let's get 1% better today.
1%
you know, just get 1% better. If I can't do anything else, get 1% better.
And that's so attainable.
Yeah.
I love that. I've never thought about, you know, progress in that type of way, because we think of progress in that long term.
Yeah.
I've never thought about setting those short-term goals, just 1% better.
Yeah.
And Lord, you've blown me away with that. But finally, what would you leave with your children?
With my children, I would just leave to, you know, do whatever they believe they can do, because I've done things that I don't believe that I could have done. You know, where I'm sitting at today in my life, it's just been a lot of accomplishments and achievement, but it came with a lot of adversity. So it's just to hold on, fight through the adversity, and I promise it's brighter on the other side.
Oh, it is bright on the other side. I can attest to that. And Kenny, how can the community connect with you? How can we support you?
Just giving back, you know, just trying to be an inspiration to the kids. Give them positive perspectives. Don't lead them in the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, you can always, you know, fundraise, donate to the basketball teams, anything. Just be an inspiration to the children, because they're our future.
Just basically be on the ground supporting. And Omar, thank you for that perspective. And I really can't thank you enough for opening my eyes to just the beauty of the short term and just all the things that we can do in that short term. And so again, thank you for sharing that perspective. And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in for one more episode. Thank you and good morning.